Let me start by saying Last of Us Part 2 is so good. It is honestly one of the best games I have ever played, and that's saying something. In a world full of horrible sequels, this is a shining example of how a sequel is done right. I would even go as far as to say in some ways it's better than the first. Let me explain. Also, I'm going to make this review as spoiler free as possible. Let's get on with it. Before I get into my thoughts about the story, let's talk about the gameplay. They pretty much took everything about combat and traversal and improved almost every aspect of it. The guns have a lot more weight behind them, and you'll end up using all of them at some point or another. How you use them also depends on how you want to go about situations in the game. If you want to go quiet, you have a lot more options this time around compared to the first game. The newly introduced silencer for your pistol was a game changer for me personally, because you can silently take out enemies from afar. Sadly, they didn't give primary gun silencers, but I can see how that would be broken. The bow is back and better than it ever was. And your options for stealth will steadily get better, and you'll get more options as you progress throughout the game. Now, if you want to go in guns blazing, you also have a lot more options in your arsenal this way around, and it's way bigger than the first game. Some weapons are better for close quarters but can't be used at long ranges, which is when you use guns that can kill from afar. But besides guns, melee weapons have been improved as well as stealth kills. The gore in this game has really been turned up, but for good reason. It definitely adds an effect to the game and adds to the realism. You really feel every hit or slice that you deal to enemies, not to mention how painful every stealth kill is. You feel sorry for your enemies because your moves are devastating and you're killing someone's friend in the game. And when you stealthily stab an enemy in the neck, and listening to them bleed out can make you shudder. As a side note, when making the game, they wanted you to question what you're doing. This means they also gave every human a name in the game, which is horrifying sometimes in game, which I mentioned before about having friends and stuff like that. You can even hear at some points in the game in passing about them wanting to go home to their significant other or family. You hear them scream out in pain for their fallen ally. It's one of the many smart decisions they made when making this game. Prone is one of the many things you never knew you wanted until you had it. It is useful, and especially if you're trying to do things quietly, you'll end up using it most of the game like I did, because I was going for a stealth run most of the time. Going off that, adding a dedicated jump button makes traversal refreshing and adds another element to combat, especially with infected. Upgrades in general have been fleshed out and developed. Upgrading your guns is pretty satisfying in the game and overall way enjoyable experience than the first. For example, if you upgrade a 6 zoom on a gun, Ellie will physically bring out a scope, put it on the gun, take a screwdriver and screw it on. But besides the protagonist, enemies have also been upgraded. As far as the human enemies go, the main upgrade is now some of them, meaning the WLF, now have dogs, which unfortunately, like most games, you'll have to take out if you want to get through the area. I also noticed that enemy AI seems way more aware. On the infected side, however, clickers have been given a buff as well as stalkers. There are also new horrors that await you during the game that I definitely was not ready for and genuinely scared me and stressed me out. So they definitely have not forgotten their horror roots. Now on to the story. I promise, no spoilers. First of all, this game is good at making you feel how they want you to feel. It's a heartfelt story through and through, and it is one of the best stories I have ever played. They took time to craft a beautiful story that I look forward to revisiting sometime. It's also one of the most human stories I've played. I'm currently playing Life is Strange 2 right now. Yeah, I know I'm super late on that, but having such a high example and just having played it, it honestly, when you play other games, it makes you question how good the game is and how much time they put into it. If you couldn't tell, the story is like literally the best part of the game, and is definitely worth trying even if you read the spoilers, because there's pretty much nothing you know if you read the spoilers. To conclude, from the amazing gameplay to the even better story, The Last of Us Part 2 has set a new standard for sequels for me, and I'm sure many others. It took 6 years to get this sequel, but to me, it was well worth the wait, as it is obvious the team at Naughty Dog put their all into it. The ending of the game left me wanting a Part 3, and I just hope it doesn't take another 6 years to make a game. And I know there's probably going to be some people who are watching this review. By the way, I know this review is super late, but I just wanted to make a video about the game because I enjoyed it so much. But I know it's going to be divisive, but Neil Druckmann, when he was making the game, his goal was for you to either love it or hate it. He didn't want you to feel meh. And even if you didn't like it, or you did, you can't deny that it's still definitely something to discuss. And personally, I feel like if they flesh out some characters in Part 3 and made a conclusion in Part 3, I would definitely want a Part 3. That would make me happy. But yeah, that's it for The Last of Us Part 2 rant, aka review, but not really. Let me know in the comments below if I could have gone about this video a different way, as well as if you have any questions I haven't covered. And if you're up for it, I would definitely love to talk in depth about the game. I love talking about it, if you couldn't tell. Like if you enjoyed, and subscribe so you know when the next video comes out. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
I have to finish it.
There's a cost.
We could have killed you. Maybe you should have.